So we would come down here and we would be disconnected,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would go off and do tequila Sergio. What were you feeling in those moments?
I felt very disconnected, and like there was almost like another agenda instead of like it being about us to be able to like have the time together. But did that set the tone too for like another woman to come in and grab your ass like in front of me? Because like I would never think to do that to another like spouse or partner here.
Like, did that happen?
Yes.
Hi, welcome back to the Late Night Date Night podcast. We tried to shoot this 2 days ago and shot a nice 34-minute podcast, got done, and only 12 minutes recorded.
Yeah, such a bummer.
I think it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
A lot of the conversations that we've had over the last couple days being down here in Cabo on our Club 10 trip with my real estate brokerage has been just really eye-opening. Especially at dinner last night talking to our friends Ryan and Jared, who are getting married here in a couple weeks, just about relationships. And I think one of the things that has been on my heart, especially just being here, is just the massive difference between how this trip has been versus how our trips here have been in the past, right?
Yeah.
Because this is like our 7th Club 10 trip, which is a trip our real estate brokerage pays for if we hit a certain amount of volume in real estate. So this trip has been very different. What have you noticed for yourself about this one versus the ones in the past?
Well, I think in the past we've been so disconnected relationally that we've almost used these trips to like rekindle and reconnect. Whereas I feel like we're coming into this trip very connected. And so then we just, instead of like starting at like a below baseline, we're starting at baseline and we're just able to grow ahead of that instead of just trying to get back to baseline. And so I feel like for us, it's been like, I've had so much fun with you.
Yeah.
We've been able to like dream together and like grow together and talk about things that are on our heart, but talk about it in a way of like, there's been no real tension where like we're trying to reconnect in some way. And so I think that's just been like so much fun for me.
I agree. What I've noticed, just like in the past when we would come down to these trips, is like, you know, I was just a younger version of me, and I would get so caught up in chasing everything. Right?
Yeah.
I was chasing success in real estate. I was chasing validation from other people. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be the life of the party, in the party. I wanted all of these things. And so what would end up happening is we would get here and it almost felt like the tension and the disconnection from home came here, and then it got amplified because I was even more disconnected from you here because I just wanted it to be the Sergio show. And that was always challenging because I think a lot of times I was hoping that we would come down here and this would be an opportunity for us to connect. And while we had good times together, I always left feeling like guilty.
Really?
Guilty that I didn't spend time with you. Guilty of sometimes, you know, just like more focused on the party than the relationship. Yeah, I think this has just been a different experience for me. So what do you feel like has brought this? I don't even feel like we're at baseline. I feel like we're way above baseline.
Yeah, agreed.
But what do you feel like has brought us connected down here versus what we've done in the past?
Well, I think relationships are built in day-to-day life. So like the small things that you do at home and that you did for me even this morning, just bringing me like coffee and some like toast, some fancy toast to the room, you know, like it's in those moments that you don't just do here, that you also do for me at home. And like us prioritizing each other and prioritizing date nights, even if that looks like a later date night when we're both exhausted, prioritizing the conversations that we have like on the couch just to reconnect, or even if we've had, you know, something come up in our relationship where we want to talk about it, we can do so in a space where like we've put the boys to bed, things are a little bit calmer, there's none of that like tension, and we can just sit down on the couch at night and have a meaningful conversation without it being us like attacking each other. And so I feel like that's where our relationship has really been built in the past like several monmonths.
In the same way that like relationships don't fall apart because of big things, they aren't built because of big things either.
Right.
I asked ChatGPT this morning, what is, if you were to basically ruin a marriage, right? I was like, if you were an unseen force trying to ruin a marriage, what are the things that you would do? And one of the things that it said, the immediate thing was like, I would never have it be something big. I would have it be just like this small erosion of the relationship over time.
Right.
Like taking out curiosity from the relationship, thinking you know everything about the other person, creating resentment or entitlement, thinking that like, oh, you work so hard, you don't have to make room for her emotions, or you've done so much, girl, like, you're sacrificing so much, like he doesn't even understand. And so then it was like, the next one was like, I would remove date nights, or I would remove quality time, and I would, have them, stop talking to one another. And the reality is, it's like that happens, that disconnection happens when there is just the adult responsibilities that take place.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the flip side of that, as what you're saying is like, date nights are great, but date nights alone are never going to be the thing that's going to bring you and I together.
No.
Right? It's the little things, right? One of the things that you do that I love, right, is just the fact that most days when I come home from work, like you've cooked dinner and it's ready. Mm-hmm. Right? Or like if you know that I'm running a long day, running calls, you'll make my lunch for me. You'll measure out the rice, you'll put in the chicken, you'll do the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like just that little thing that makes me feel special. Or when I go on a trip, you'll like write notes and you'll sneak it into my Bible so that when I open it up in the morning, right, it's there. And I think it's all of these little things are like the small bricks that you're laying that build the foundation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the little things aren't going to repair those kinds of things. I feel like a lot of it too is having meaningful conversations, but being able to also have those conversations in a calm, healthy way versus like attacking each other.
Yeah, I feel like it leads to very heated conversations when it goes too far.
Yeah.
So we would come down here and we would be disconnected. Mm-hmm. And then I would go off and do tequila, Sergio. What were you feeling in those moments?
For me, I just felt, I don't think I realized it because I guess I was just like very numb to life and everything. But I guess I felt like very anxious and very just like disconnected from you. Like, okay, this is amazing that we get to be here and that you worked so hard to be able to get here and be one of the top performers. But like, do we really have to just come down here and let it be like the Sergio show? And I don't know. I felt very disconnected, and like there was almost like another agenda instead of like it being about us to be able to like have the time together. Like
just say it.
Well, if we were gonna like make it about you and like we were disconnected and like I would go to the room and have like a bubble bath on the patio with like some champagne, which was amazing because I'm more introverted and I do like appreciate my time like by myself to re-energize and whatnot. But like, did that set the tone too for like another woman to come in and grab your ass like in front of me? Because like I would never think to do that to another like spouse or partner here.
Wait, did that happen?
Yes.
Oh yeah, remember? It did. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like just to think
that was
like,
really weird. I think even I was just like I didn't laugh it off. I was just like I feel like I gave her like a death stare. Like, hey, listen, like that's not okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like imagine if a guy did that to a woman.
Exactly.
He'd get the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, or another woman did it to like another partner. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, but then like, what kind of relationship do you have for that to happen?
So that would.
I don't know.
So you felt disconnected.
I felt super disconnected.
And then you felt unsafe.
Yeah, unsafe and like I don't know.
Were you worried?
I think if I had to be honest, yeah, I was a little bit worried.
Were you worried that I was gonna like go back to another room with another woman?
No, not that. I think it's more like worried or feeling unsafe about the overall stability of our relationship. Knowing like how much we were struggling emotionally and relationally together. Yeah. But then like I feel like that's like what has to break in order for other poor decisions to be made.
Yeah,
100%. I don't think it would have gotten to that point, but still like even just having that first layer be a little bit broken is like
it's the entry point to allowing those things to happen.
Exactly.
So when you were feeling unsafe in the relationship, on an unstable relationship, I guess what did that do for you, like wanting to like be physically intimate, like have sex?
Yeah. I just felt like it was very transactional, you know.
That was another thing GPT said. It's like, I would make sex transactional.
Yeah, for sure. Sex then was like a lot different than the sex that we're having now.
How so?
When I feel like very emotionally connected to you and like safe, seen, secure, it just allows me to like have a different sort of like emotional and like more intimate experience with you. And so
You definitely get a little, you're definitely more like expressive,
yeah,
right? When you feel safe.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I think that's a testament to just like the safety in the relationship, right?
For sure.
And the safety that you have felt in that, right? And the safety that you're feeling now. I think what it has allowed us to do is to come down here in a different frame of mind. Like, one, yes, like we're connected physically, but two, like coming down here and knowing that we're both emotionally safe. We both feel appreciated, loved, honored in the relationship. There's no resentment, right? It allows us to start asking some different questions about where we want to go.
Right.
Because we've checked like those needs off and we've fulfilled those needs. And now it's like, well, now that I feel all of this in this relationship and I feel good about it, what else do we actually want? What does that allow for you to do, like as far as like dreaming and thinking about something bigger in the relationship? Like using this as an opportunity to grow as a couple versus connect as a couple.
Well, I think it's just allowed us to have the space to get curious about one another and like ask you like what you dream about for the relationship and what you dream about for your business. And just as we've started to share more of our experience and what happened in our relationship, it's also given other, like for me, other women like permission to open up about like their similar challenges and to be able to like share those conversations.
Women are like dying to talk about it.
Yeah, because
Why do you think that is?
I feel like it's because they are tired of feeling like they have to carry all the weight at home and with the kids. We're tired of, having to convince our spouse or a partner to share in the load and share in the help because they just feel like they have so much to do with work that they don't have time to consider her needs.
And
At least that was my experience too.
What was your experience? I mean, that's what I would tell you. I was like, no, listen, I'm making the money. You have to take care of the rest. And it's just very short-sighted. And I think a lot of guys either don't realize it or they realize it and they just don't give a shit. For me, being able to recognize that, like I've seen it too down here. A lot of the women, like they'll express, frustrations in their relationship.
Right.
And then the men shut down. Men tend to shut down when that's expressed because they feel exposed. And they feel exposed and it makes them feel like a failure.
Right.
But women, I've noticed, right? Like women talking to you, the messages you've been getting on Instagram, women are just like, they're fucking tired.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of this too, is like guys are like, I feel like I'm doing everything. And I think it's this thing that we've all bought into, thinking that like success looks like this. Success is money. Success is the home. Success is the vacation. Success and wealth, in my opinion, is a deep connection with my wife, showing up as an amazing dad, making money, leading my family, creating experiences, but having the right priority, right? Like you have to have money to have a good life. So that has to be a part of it, but it can't be the sole part of it. Why do you think these women are, do you feel like they've talked to their husband about it?
I think a lot of them have tried, at least in the conversations that I've been having.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I mean, you can tell us too, like, but my perspective is like, you guys probably feel the pressure to be able to provide. So if you feel that pressure to provide and to be able to provide is the only way to do that is to like work. And so then if home stuff takes your attention away from that, then like you might not have money to live. And so I don't know.
What advice would you give these women though? If they've had this conversation and their husband's not listening, right? And they're just at their fucking breaking point.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
My advice is to, start sharing your vision of like what like a different type of relationship looks like. And maybe if you can speak from your heart and like tell a story about like what you want to create for your marriage or your life and your kids and whatnot, like maybe that'll be just enough motivation or something like a light for your spouse or partner to see where he's maybe like, maybe we could create this and maybe we could do it differently. Or like she loves me so much and wants a better relationship for me and wants to stay together versus like making a decision to part ways.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, maybe if they see that, maybe they'll be motivated just enough to be able to create something different in their relationship.
I think that's
But-
possible. I think from a guy's perspective, they might hear that, but guys generally, we don't change until there's an emergency. What I'm not saying is like you shouldn't give your husband an ultimatum or threaten him. It's not what I'm saying, but do you think there is this place where like you have to stop tolerating things in yourself, tolerating things in him, like tolerating anything. And I think one of the questions that you could ask, right? Are you actually happy in this relationship? Do you want to be with me? Is this what you thought it was going to be like?
Gotcha.
And a lot of times the guys will be like, yeah, it's good. Be like, okay, well, why do you think this relationship is good?
Mm-hmm.
Make him tell you.
Yeah.
Because the reality is once we start to talk about like why it's good, what they will say is they'll actually hang themselves.
Really?
They will hang themselves. They won't realize that they've been tolerating things in their marriage.
So you stop tolerating and then the men hang themselves. But what do you mean by that?
So like, listen, if a guy's like, yeah, it's good. And then you were to say, well, why do you think our relationship is good?
Yeah.
What about our sex life is good? We have it, once a month. And then she'll be like, okay, cool. How many times have I initiated it in the last month? And he'll be like, zero. No, hold on. And then he'll be like, none.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could easily just be like, what would it feel like if I was initiating sex? Like if I wanted to jump your bones, how would that make you feel?
Right. Yeah.
And the guy would be like, I'd feel great. Be like, so, okay, cool. If you want me to jump your bones and you want me to initiate sex, do you see that there's a gap between what we have and what you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And sex is just one example.
Right.
Right. But you help him see that there's a gap between what he's settling for and what they actually want.
I see.
Right. And listen, it's not your responsibility to do that. However, if a guy's completely oblivious to it, I say this a lot on my calls. Never forget that Eve in the book of Genesis woke Adam up. God put Adam to sleep so that he could create Eve. And then Eve came over and breathed life back into Adam to wake him up. Women are meant to wake men up.
Well, for me, in all honesty, that's reassuring because I feel like you had to be the one to want and to change the dynamics of our relationship. Like I could continue to speak and we could continue to have the same fights over and over and over. But like in order for us to change something in our relationship, like I needed help at home and with the kids.
Yeah.
But like I can't force you to do that. And
Right.
so I feel like it was you having to and wanting to change in order for us to have a better relationship. And so
I don't disagree.
like I can't tell women that, and so that's like the hard piece of like,
Well, then
how
women
do
should
I
be willing to
that?
leave their husband.
Well, absolutely. If they're unhappy, like they should leave. And I considered it too,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like there has to be this. I'm not saying you should leave. I'm saying you should have the ability to know that you will leave if things don't change.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
And
And
if-
be confident in that decision.
Yeah, and if that doesn't exist, then you have no chance, right? Because the reality is, one of my friends told me this. The one and only Keith Yackey was like, leaving is leverage.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to leave, you have no leverage on the situation. Is it going to hurt? Yeah. And then the argument comes up where people are like, well, we're staying in it for our kids. And I'm like, you're creating more pain and more emotional trauma in these kids by letting them see a marriage that is failing than by you two separating and then finding actual love.
Right. Exactly. Well, and like if you're unhappy in a relationship, you carry that throughout then your entire life and entire day to day.
So when you and I were disconnected last year and you were frustrated, how did that show up as a mom towards the boys?
Yeah. I think it always shows up as me just being a little short-tempered or a little short-fused because I'm like, well, he's fucking gone again. Like I'm solo parenting yet again. Like, I don't want to do this. I want a partner. I love my kids, but I want help as well. And so I think that just shows up in the day-to-day. And unfortunately, like sometimes the boys get the brunt of it when they don't deserve it at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that happens every single day. Like, I obviously have to manage my own emotions and all of that to show up as like a good mom. And
yeah. But you yelled at the boys.
Yeah, I've yelled at the boys in the past.
And then you have mom guilt, right? And then because of that mom guilt, that I, right, was a part of contributing to that. Now your guilt comes even back to you, and then it's directly back to me, and now we're fighting over something even bigger. And so this is what I'm saying is like there has to be this place where like the relationship and what you're tolerating, you're either going to accept it or you're not.
Right.
And if you accept it, cool, then you don't get to complain anymore.
Yeah.
If you're just going to tolerate it and you're not going to make any changes, That's on you.
Mhm.
And so
It's a decision.
it's a decision, and it's a hard one, right?
Mhm.
I remember sitting in my car thinking about driving home and breaking up with you. This is before we got engaged. No, we're after we got engaged. And I remember I called my buddy Nate and I was like, dude, I'm just struggling. I'm going through this. And he goes, bro, you need to remember, you always have an out. You may not like the consequences of the out, but you always have an out.
Right.
And it like was freeing for me to be like, oh, I'm in this relationship by choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I can either choose to change the relationship or I can just shut the fuck up about it and be miserable. And then there's this piece of just like, okay, so you were disconnected and you're fighting with the boys, and then we were connected. And how does that show up differently as a mother? How do you feel like you show up differently when we're connected?
I think when we're connected, everything is just different.
So, but when we're connected, how do you feel like it shows up for you? Like, how do you feel you show up differently as a mother?
I think when we're connected, things are just like at ease, and I can flow in the day, and like you can flow in and out, and I don't have like that guilt of like, oh my gosh, he's helping out because he thinks that I'm like a bad mom. But also I feel like you're making me look like I just yelled at the boys all the time.
Oh, no.
That was not the case.
That's not the case at all. I'm just giving an example of, dude, I've yelled at the boys too, right? Like it's no different than a dad being disconnected from his wife and stressed at work. And then, his wife becomes the emotional punching bag, which I've done. I've yelled at you and been short-tempered with you. I've been frustrated with the boys and I've yelled at them. Like it's the natural condition of just things that happen. Like it's not common, but it happens, right? Like it just is what it is. Doesn't mean we're proud about it, but every parent has yelled at their child and then immediately regretted it.
Yeah. And then you just repair and fix it.
Right.
Instead of acting like it never happened in the first place.
But my point is this,
But
the child thing is, I got that, but we're getting
Yeah.
off. My point is this, is like when we are connected, how does that impact you as a mother?
It makes every day just like easier because you're not so worried about your relationship and foundational stuff.
Yep. And when we're connected, how does that make you feel as a woman?
Makes me feel confident, seen, like safe, secure, like little things in our relationship, like me asking you to help out with the dishes or something, like is not gonna turn into like this explosive fight where it's like, I'm so busy, like I can't do it,
Yeah. And then when we're connected, how does that make you feel as a wife?
Loved, respected. We just have this like emotional connection that is amazing.
It's like honeymoon energy all the time.
Yeah.
When we are connected, it's honeymoon energy. Like, but it's honeymoon energy with depth. Honeymoon energy, like, is like easy to do because it's new and it's fun. But having that feeling, like now that we're almost 5 years into being married, 10 years into being together, and it's better now than it was when we first started dating.
Yeah.
To me, that's a testament because we have depth with one another and understanding of one another, and we're creating something because we want to.
Right.
So my point is this, is like disconnection is going to happen. But disconnection can easily go down one of two paths. It can go down this path of just like resentment, anger, divorce, or it can go down this path of the ability for you to ask yourself, what do I want? And then start to change it. So we're here this time down in Cabo. We came in connected because of the daily investments that we make, quality time on the couch at night, conversations with the boys, conversations in bath time, sitting down on the bathroom floor and talking, going on walks with one another, date nights. And we come here and it's different this time. It's different because like we got to spend time together. What has this felt like for you?
It's been amazing. Like I miss the boys so much and I'm so excited to see them. But at the same time, I've just loved like this vacation and this time that we've gotten to have with one another. And like to be able to do the things that we don't get to do because we have two kids to watch over, like being able to work out together or sit down and have breakfast together. Like those are very small, simple things.
It's awesome.
But just like be able to have those moments together and like have meaningful conversation is just, it helps like grow and like almost like invest in our relationship. And so now we get to go home even more connected and see like our two amazing little humans that we created together.
Dude, and imagine what this does for them. Even though they're young, imagine the feeling that they get, right? When you and I are just like in this space. They see us loving on each other and dancing in the kitchen and hugging. And even though like Luca's like, Dad, and Enzo like laughs, like they get to see it. And I think that's really cool that we've built this relationship that our boys now have like a framework of like what love can look like,
Yeah, I think that's really important, right? Because like the relationship that they see with us is probably what they're going to go look for like later in life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, being able to show up strong and connected and loving towards one another is the example that I want to set for them.
Yeah. I tell my guys, if you want to have sex on Saturday night, you start doing the work and flirting with your wife on Monday. And if you want to have an amazing vacation, you start doing date nights a few months before. And if you want to have an amazing date night, right, you start flirting a few days before. This is all just progression.
Yeah.
So that when you get to the vacation, it's not about you trying to reestablish the connection. It's about you deepening the connection.
Yeah.
And creating that substance and that Hollywood honeymoon life for yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody is like, I don't know if that's possible. And I'm here to tell you, I used to think that too. I thought that like the peak was the honeymoon and then the rest was just like, hey, we just kind of mail it in. The reality is like, you get to design the marriage that you want. And if you're watching this is what I just want to give you permission. Ask yourself, is the marriage that you're in is the one that you want? Because the majority of the times it's the right woman, it's the wrong marriage.
Dynamics and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What was your favorite part about this trip? One, like your favorite memory?
I had a lot of fun going out with the people that we love, to Bagatelle and just dancing a little bit and like having that freedom. That was pretty fun. But even just like shooting this podcast with you and having breakfast and working out, like the things that I mentioned, I feel like have been really fun.
Yeah.
What about you?
My favorite part was watching you at Bagatelle, just dancing with the smile on your face. And I felt like I could just see all of you. Like it was like you didn't have a care in the world. You were just happy. And it was just like beautiful. Like to me, it was like, that's the woman that I love. That's the woman that I want her to have access to in herself. And I told you this earlier. I had never seen this level of confidence on you in our entire marriage.
Yeah.
And it is one of the most attractive and beautiful things. And it's a testament to you doing stuff like this, you putting yourself out there, and a willingness, right? I want all of you to hear this. A willingness to punch me in the fucking throat when the marriage we had was one that you didn't want.
Yeah.
And so your willingness to collide with your husband or collide with your wife for the marriage that you both deserve is important.
Yes, agreed.
Listen, thanks for joining us here on this latest episode of Late Night Date Night Podcast. If you love this, dude, give us a 5-star review, like hook it up. And if you hate it and you think it's complete garbage, tell us too. Give us a 1-star and tell us why. Go follow my beautiful wife on Instagram at Lizzie Ray. Come follow me on Instagram at Sergio Nazaro. Share this with some friends. And until next time,
Peace.
take care. Peace.